Okay. Here we go again. We're back. So, the more I think lately about what's going on, the more I get a sense for the voting public and what's happening in Australia at the moment. What's in our media? What are people talking about? What are people saying? And I think there's a really big push. Like, I'm thinking about the Labor Party. I'm thinking about politics. I'm thinking about the Greens, the Liberals, One Nation, and what the Labor Party stands for. What is the idea of this social democracy that they're chasing? What is and how is it playing out in the newspaper articles? And I constantly see news articles attacking the Labor Party, Anthony Albanese. Nothing ever goes far enough in terms of legislation. I think one thing I see about the complaints, or a lot of the complaints I see is, lately that's the gambling legislations. There's talk about gambling legislation reform, and I think the main criticism of Labor is it doesn't go far enough. Or things like taxing business and taxing gas, oil and gas, it doesn't go far enough. It needs to be doing more. Or as soon as we introduce taxes on capital gains, it's going too far now. It's like ultimately, I think Labor's ended up in this position where it can be endlessly criticized, because ultimately it's trying to make reforms, incremental reforms, in a direction that it perceives to be helping those less well off, helping those working tough. There is a redistribution goal, I think, at the end of it, but it's understood that the mission is never to radically embrace full-blown socialism, full-blown communism. And it's trying to be progressive and progress incrementally towards a better world. Now, do they always get it right? No. Do they sometimes get it right? Definitely. But I think people are losing sight of what politics is and the pace of politics. And I'm not sure that grand sweeping huge changes are in the benefits of a society in the long run and in the short run, because sometimes these grand sweeping idealistic popular policies can have very large ramifications, flow-on effects that may not be immediately apparent. And so the incremental change allows politicians to understand if we are heading in the right direction, and do we keep heading down that direction, or do we need to course correct? Now, sometimes large sweeping changes can be good. I can't deny it. Medicare, absolutely a huge beneficial sweeping change, a massive reform in terms of what the state will provide its citizens, right? And totally in line with social democracy and the center left. It's everything the Labor Party aspires to be, and potentially even increasing taxes on oil and gas exports, increasing taxes on exports. I'm pretty sure is probably in line with what the Labor Party would want. And whenever they have tried to introduce those kinds of ideas or reforms, endlessly smeared by the newspapers, etc., and pushed out by and potentially interfered by foreign governments in our elections, and actually pushed out of the hot seat. So it's just, I am going to be watching some slop today. I feel like I have been very much watching a lot of right-wing stuff. And, and there's endless critiques you can make of the right wing, and particularly when I've been watching Isaac Butterfield, it's not exactly brilliant commentary backed up by any kind of facts or logic. Well, it's got a particular logic all of its own, but I don't believe the statistics are in his favor. The scientific community is not in his favor, and his worldview comes very much from a place of personal opinion, anecdotal evidence, and probably a xenophobia. Is there racism involved? Potentially. I believe that Isaac Butterfield is a staunch nativist. I don't think he would argue against that. I think he would own that 100%, particularly when you explain what a nativist is. But I don't think he understands the consequences of that, in particular, the full consequences in terms of the economic downturn that would happen to this country and the impact it would have on working families. But I would also suspect deep down, so that's his public opinion. I believe he also holds a private position where I suspect he would probably be a race realist deep down, someone who is very much in favor of the West, Judeo-Christian values, and would link that to white people being the West and epitomizing Judeo-Christian values, and it's something that is predominantly a white person thing. Remains to be seen if that is indeed his private position, but that's my suspicions. Now, time to make a mountain out of a molehill. I really need to watch this melon controversy. So, let's go.
Celebrated as the king of fruits in Japan.
What am I doing? Yeah, is my sound on? Okay, let's do this. Let's go there. 3, 2, 1, go.
Celebrated as the king of fruits in Japan, the carefully cultivated crown melon retails for $200 a pop. And on her recent visit to Australia, Japan's leader presented...
I have to share it, or
Japan's leader presented a pear to the Prime Minister.
do I have to share it, or is it all?
Anthony Albanese sharing news of the gift on the Bush Deep podcast last month.
Oh, I'm expecting...
Got a couple of melons.
She brought 2.
She brought 2, as you do.
She just came in looking like Pamela Anderson.
She brought 2.
Yes, really.
And they're beautiful.
It was the same episode in which he made his now infamous remarks about Kylie Minogue. These comments largely flying under the radar until a former Japanese ambassador dramatically weighed in, attacking the Prime Minister for casually mocking a trusted partner, writing, "So, Prime Minister, please enjoy Japan's sweet and juicy melons without thinking about a woman's anatomy, and instead focus on what our two countries must do together."
I completely disagree that he was in any way making the suggestion that you're proposing, or that the former ambassador is proposing now.
The opposition now...
I mean, that's kind of true, right? It's the hostess was in fact making that assertion. I don't think he didn't like chastise her comment, but let me just double check. Let's listen to that again. So this is the offending 30 second, no, not even 30, it's like 10 seconds, isn't it? Okay, let's go.
Anthony Albanese sharing news of the gift last month.
Oh, I'm expecting.
Got a couple of melons.
She brought two.
She brought two, as you do.
She just came in looking like Pamela Anderson.
She brought two.
Yes, really.
And they're beautiful.
It was the same episode in which he made his now infamous.
See, this is a nothing. This is absolutely like a nothing comment. This lady is obviously being the, well, I don't know, sexist one, I guess you would say, anti-feminist one. I don't know what it'd be called, but like he's being dragged as being guilty by association because this lady mentioned Pamela Anderson to try and she made it about tits. Really, he's just saying, you know, he brought two, as you do. Like that's just an Australian comment. Is like, isn't it weird, right? Like, this is so overblown. Okay, so it's a nothing. It's actually, there's no weird melons. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. What I'm going to get at now. As I mentioned, as the title says, I hate watching slop. I believe that this punter's politics is slopulist videos. This is billionaires bad, both parliaments bad, and I'm wondering what he's got to say. Now let's just pick ourselves a topic. And I see the one thing billionaires. Oh, he sat down with fucking Gary Economics. This man is a charlatan, Gary Economics. He doesn't understand how economies work. He doesn't understand how UK tax works. There's plenty of videos out there of people trying to explain to him how the UK tax code works, how trusts work. The man is a fraud. God. Okay, here we go. So many options to choose from. Now, who do we go with? Okay. Right. Billionaires, let's go. Whew. Can't wait. Oh,
Wait,
okay.
punters, you just feel.
That's right. So, petrol excise tax break has just come off. So now petrol prices have increased again. And now everyone's going to be talking about petrol prices again. Particularly when you look at the US strategic oil reserves. US strategic oil reserves. Show me the picture. That doesn't take you to 2026. Where's 2026? It's gone off a big fucking cliff. Wah, wah. Dun dun dun. Okay. Keeping in mind, America is where Australia was hosting a significant portion of its own strategic reserves. So it only has 298 million barrels. I believe the US uses several million barrels a day. So we fucked, basically. The minimum amount of oil needed to safely operate the SPR, Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is about 7 million barrels. Oh, so that's to maintain the actual infrastructure. Okie dokie. Righto. Okay, here we go. Everyone's favorite angry punter.
Wait, punters, you just filled up your car, and as of a couple of days ago, you are back to paying a full 22 cents a litre on every bit of petrol that you get. But somewhere in the Pilbara, a mining truck just put thousands of litres into its tank and paid 0 cents a litre. Punters, this is the great Aussie petrol scam, and the mining lobby really hate me bringing this up. Punters, in this video, I want to answer one question. Why do so many of you broke punters in my comments defend the biggest tax break foreign-owned mining cartels get from you? Tell me, we're going to find out. So many of you broke punters in my comments defend the biggest tax break foreign-owned mining cartels get from you. Tell me,
I mean, straight off the bat, I can immediately think of a particular argument, which would be the mine is operating on private property, man. There is no public infrastructure that they're using these vehicles on. So at what point, why would they need to pay tax to maintain public infrastructure if they're not using it? Right? I'm willing to guess that part of this 22 cents, in fact, all of this 22 cents, it was originally introduced as a way to recoup money for infrastructure projects and for maintaining infrastructure, but maybe not. Let's find out.
we're going to find out. All right, punts. Thanks to petrol prices going really high because of someone invading someone and bombing something somewhere in the world again, we're back to paying stupid prices for petrol. But the government felt sorry for us and gave us a teensy, itty-bitty little discount on our fuel. And we got a sweet, sweet taste of what it must be like to be a mining cartel in Australia. No tax on your fuel ever. It was good while it lasted, but...
Very clearly, Lefty, like, things to be conscious of. Mining cartel. I mean, obviously the word cartel is already negative loaded, right, as it's a criminal organization. Oh, good. I don't think the microphone even picks up the neighbor's dog. That's fantastic. So, straight off the bat, we can see that heavily loaded language. He's obviously got his opinion, and he's force feeding it into the video. Now, I am prejudging, right? I do have an aversion to populist rhetoric. So I'm hoping that there's good facts behind this. I mean, this guy cannot be worse than Isaac Butterfield. 100%. I would bet that this guy has read more, researched more, seen more government reports than Isaac Butterfield's ever seen in a life of Sundays. A full 40 years. No, he's not even 40. He's 36. Fuck. He just looks 40. Righto. Cartels. Cartels bad, remember? Therefore, mining companies bad.
Now the free ride is over, and I made an Instagram reel about it, and some of you in the comments weren't happy. So we'll watch the reel, and then we'll do what you're not supposed to do. We'll read the comments.
Oh, what the hell? Petrol prices went up again. Did they? Yes. Oh, I didn't notice. Did you? Notice what? Apparently fuel prices went up again because of this fuel excise thing. What the hell's a fuel excise?
I think it's the tax the government charges on fuel.
Is the government taxing our fuel now?
Oh no, not yours. Or mine.
His. Are you serious? You bludgers don't even pay for half the gas you get, and now you get cheaper fuel than me. Yeah, I know a guy. Oi, government. How's the guy? Yo, Albo. Hey, it's the boys. What's this about a fuel tax? Oh, no, not for you blokes. Oh, phew. Sweet. Cheers, mate. Including me? Oh, no, you're
Oh yeah, you can buy a t-shirt, punterspolitics.com if you want. But anyway, let's read the comments, because most of you are rightly pissed off at this situation, but some of you are strangely cool with it, actually having a go at me about it. All right, this one here from Punter Jake. Is this bloke really on about the removal of a temporary relief we all knew was going to happen? Yes. Funny that he has not posted a single video about petrol in the 2 months we had the relief, but the day the excise goes back to normal, this bloke starts back up again. This is the best bit. Starting to think Punters is a bit of a flog who chases the headline that will get the most views.
Yeah, no
Yet
shit,
another
of course.
journalist with an agenda. You know what? I feel...
This is a dumb comment, and it's dumb that you would read it out, because 100% this is his fucking job. To talk about things that are relevant. So, okay, maybe there's some actual comment of substance.
know that on this day, absolutely rolled off, the corporate media, the news media would absolutely kick up a stick about petrol prices, the thing ever. Which brings us to Punter. There's one thing that they always frequently petrol prices going up. They love freaking people out about petrol. So much so that it sometimes drives shortages. But here's one thing that they always frequently forget to mention, and that's the thing that I brought up here. The fact that mining cartels don't pay tax on their fuel, and they haven't done it almost ever. Which brings us to Punter Justin's comment, and it's an interesting one. It's a tax that's supposed to be for roads. Oh, is it? And Punter Anthony, blue tick, damn it. You don't paint the whole picture. These credits don't just apply to the mining industry. They also apply to industry using machinery that is used off public roads. Ah, there it is again. Farmers, agricultural businesses using tractors, excavators, commercial fishing boats, warehouse forklifts, small mowing business would claim these credits to put in their lawnmower. Well, bloody hell, I've never claimed any fuel credits when I fill up my lawnmower. Maybe I should. 2 litre tank, 3 litre tank. Could save 80.
It's because your lawn mowing is not a business. Fuck. Jesus.
Cents a mow. And finally, the idea is great, but the reality is, to put this into practice, it would mean that a lot of small businesses with small margins would lose the credit as well. Punters, I appreciate the feedback. In fact, I do read the comments, despite what they say about protect your mental health. Nah, stuff it. Read them anyway. But I can't help but wonder, why is it that these comments and these arguments made sound exactly like they were lifted from a mining lobby press release? It's because they were. Here is a press release from the Minerals Council of Australia, the peak lobby group that is paid to lobby on behalf of foreign-owned mining cartels.
Just a reminder, yes, lobbying exists to try and sell one side of the story. It's not bad. Lobbying is not bad. Technically, what Punter's Politics doing is lobbying from the other side, right? Like, lobbying just is a way of trying to persuade people. It's not bad. Like, the word lobbying is thrown around as like lobbyists, evil lobbyists, and it's pretty common, right? Someone who's going to, like, for people who call businesses cartels to evoke this language of illegality. The word lobby and lobbyist is like a dirty word, right? Who is watching The Watchmen? Nobody.
To squeeze every dollar they possibly can out of you, the Aussie taxpayer. Cartels, to squeeze every dollar they possibly can out of you, the Aussie taxpayer. Here are the 2 talking points that we've just heard as to why we should keep giving billions of our dollars to these bludgers. The Fuel Tax Credit Alliance reaffirms a long-standing principle. It's a principle that must be protected. Principle to be protected. Road taxes should be for road users. In other words, only the on-road users pays. That's fair. We'll come back to why they think it's fair in a second. And here's the second argument that they make. These tax handouts support regional Australia, where diesel fuel is the backbone of these industries, powering harvesting crops, underpins fishing, tourism. Wow, this is almost word for word, that guy's comments. A farmer driving across his property in his bloody Hilux ute shouldn't pay tax on his diesel, nor should a captain on a trawler on the high seas. And by the way, neither should our 1,000-litre mining trucks that we use to dig up all your coal. So there's the two main...
Okay, if it's our coal, then go out there with a shovel, mate, and start fucking digging, right? Someone has to dig it up. And this is how capitalism works, right? Someone does a job and they create a thing, in this case coal, right? Because just because it exists in the ground, it doesn't mean it's usable. You have to make it usable. And you do that by extracting it, digging it up, transporting to where it needs to be. Yeah, they're selling something, all right? And they're seeing a profit. Now, you could argue, are they seeing too much profit? And I guess punters' politics would argue that they are seeing too much profit. Maybe. But what is a reasonable tax rate? And then I still don't understand, like, this still feels reasonable to me. Like, we are a collective of people, and certainly we should pay for our resource, our shit that we use, right? Like, the one argument you could make for mining companies is actually they drive a lot of utes potentially on open highways as they travel around, so there's potential that they should be paying it there. Most of the shit that they use on site gets transported by trucks, and trucking actually definitely pays the tax. Sorry. Okay. Let's keep going.
And by the way, neither should our 1,000-litre mining trucks that we use to dig up all your coal. So there's the two main arguments, and it's no surprise, I think, both of them are bullshit. Let's start with number one, that road taxes should be for road users. It's not an economic principle like they want you to think. It's quite literally a campaign slogan. How do I know that? Because if you Google it, it's actually literally a registered website. Road taxes are for road users. That's fair. And look, oh, just a bloke at his ute. He's a humble boy. We're just having a lovely holiday. Oh, I'm a tourism operator. Protect me. Why am I making fun of the mining lobby, hiding behind the human shield of the regular bloke in his Hilux and families on holiday? That's because this is what they are trying to hide from you. They are trying to hide from you that this fuel tax credit, as it stands right now, gives the farmer only this much, meaning, and the coal company actually gets this much, and the mining iron ore company gets this much. To give it specific numbers, the average farmer receives $13,000 in fuel tax credit, and the average coal mining corporation receives $26 million. Which brings me to the farmers. The farmers are the human shield in all of this that the mining lobby and dodgy politicians hide behind every time you bring up the facts I'm talking about right here. Don't believe me? Watch this.
Petrol subsidy is a subsidy.
So he
But is this a bad thing? Is this fuel credits? So the mining sector okay. While everyday Australians are tightening their belts, mining corporations are cashing in on this $13 billion fossil fuel subsidy. The mining sector dominates the scheme, claiming 47% of fuel tax credits. The top 18 mining beneficiaries collected cash in on $3.36 billion of credits last year alone. Average coal mining company claims $26 million a year in fuel tax credits. Compare that. Yes. Why is the comment? Those same companies cashing in on government handouts are posting massive annual profits. BHP reportedly received $622 million in fuel tax credits in 2024 while posting around $10 billion in profit. And the worst part is the mining industry has the cash and technology to switch to cleaner transport like electric. Well, yes and no. There's lots of infrastructure issues with the electric stuff, but are choosing to cash in on diesel fuel credits instead. This is in stark contrast to farmers who have fewer clean energy options and less cash to fund new equipment. BHP's own climate strategy committed to trialling electric trucks from 2024 and rolling them out across its fleet, but a recent investigation revealed that BHP has spent more than $500 million on new diesel trucks. Do we care? $622 million in fuel tax credits. So 3.36 billion last year alone. So in a year, BHP is what, 25% of just one mining company. Oof. Right. What do we start with here? All right, National Conference. Delegates at Labor's National Conference rejected an activist push to immediately cap or remove the credits. So an amendment was passed. Okay, so that's for general stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's. Yeah. I might be changing my mind on this. 3.36 billion actually isn't a lot of revenue. And at the same time, I wonder if it is a tax deductible operational expense. Yes, fuel costs are generally tax deductible as ordinary business operating expenses for mining companies, provided the fuel is used directly in running the business. The net cost of purchasing fuel minus any credits or GST refunds. Okay. So it's already a tax deductible expense as well. Well, it is a tax deductible expense. Okay. Mining business can claim fuel tax credits from the ATO with fuel excise or customs duty included in the price of diesel or edgel. Yeah, but then can they then claim that excise and then deduct it? If you're a miner, it pays to learn. Okay. No, this is going to be for fucking workers. This isn't for companies. This is for the average punter. Common exploration, so to fuel. Mining operations claim credits for the fuel tax paid on specific off-road activities engaging in financial service. Okay, whatever. Is that it? Okay, well, that's useless. Wow, okay. So not only do they get the tax, the credit, sorry, the excise tax, fuel tax credit, so they get that money back, but then they can also get, I guess, 30 cents to the dollar because it's a company, right? So they can use it as a tax deduction, any fuel cost. So, yeah, fuck it, tax them, like put the tax on. Does it matter? Like, let's say I'm paying at the pump $2.50 for diesel. So 75 cents. If I'm tax deducting 75, what's the fuel excise? $38.5 a kilogram. Is that, what is that per litre? Fuck me. Per litre. Diesel. Oh my god. Okay. 28.8 cents per litre. To, oh wow, 32.4 cents in 2025. So 32.4. So if I've got, righto, so if I assume, if I say now my 250 minus 32.4 is 217.6 times 0.3, 65 cents. So I'm saving 65 cents. So I'm still claiming. Okay. Yeah, so I'm still paying a shitload less tax. So even if, so if I imagine my 250 is with the fuel tax, then when they do get the tax deduction, they're saving 75 cents. They're getting 75 cents back. If I remove the fuel excise, so they've saved already 32 cents a litre, and now they're also going to save 65 cents a litre, then they're going to save 97 cents. So what's the difference? 97 minus 75. It's potentially, the government may see an extra 22 cents per litre for tax, on tax. So it's not small bickies, like it's a decent chunk of change, right? So in 2024, the fuel tax credit was, let's say, 29 cents a litre. So, I think he said here it was 3.36. It was 29 cents a litre. And we're now going to be getting 22 if we remove it. Okay. 22 divided by 29 equals, so about 75% of 3.36. So $2.5 billion. That's not bad. Put that back into infrastructure. Okay. It's okay. I don't mind. I could go either way at this point. I don't think 22 cents a litre is going to kill a mining company. I don't think it's going to significantly hurt mining profits in any way. Yeah, I could go either way. Like, it's chump change at this point to argue about. Like, I know saying 2.5 billion is chump change, but the fucking government's budget is 800 billion. It's less than 1%, right? So, sure. Put the excise on the mining companies. At least then it's treated equally and evenly across everyone. And they're just going to tax deduct most of it away again. Anyway, let's keep going though. So last time I only got fucking 6 minutes through a 12-minute video of Senior Isaac Butterfield. I'm about the same way now through punters politics. I think there's a reasonable argument to be made here for why the fuel tax should be in place. Now, the argument that the fuel tax was, okay, well, why was it introduced? I mean, the argument that can be made is, well, mining companies benefit from roads by the mere fact that every single human being that works on the mine lives in the country and uses the roads to travel to the mine and get to the mine and work within the mine, right? So whether or not it's being used in a place where there are public roads or not doesn't matter, because the business itself is benefiting from roads existing. And so fuel is the place where we're recovering the cost of those roads, whether it's used on roads or not, right? I think that would be an appropriate argument. That's very much the socialist argument, right? Is that no, fuel we know is something that we can tax that's directly related to an industry or an activity. The other argument from a socialist perspective you could make, or social democratic perspective, would be fuel has a carbon dioxide cost, and since nobody wants to have a fucking carbon tax, we're going to just put the fuel tax across the board on all fuel. If you're burning fuel, you're paying a tax. End of story. So, to be honest, I don't actually mind the argument that these guys should pay tax. I don't like the framing of the cartels, etc., but still, it's definitely coming from a populist perspective. But let's find out what else we have in store.
6 million. Which brings me to the farmers. The farmers are the human shield in all of this that the mining lobby and dodgy politicians hide behind every time you bring up the facts I'm talking about right here. Don't believe me?
So dodgy politicians, and so when someone says dodgy politicians, they mean all politicians. In fact, they for sure they're using them as a shield in this case, right? They're trying to, the mining companies, through their lobbying, they're trying to equate themselves to other industries for sure, and it's fair. Like, that's a fair comparison, right? Like, those businesses are trying to make money, we're trying to make money. It just so happens that our business is bigger, so we're earning more. Right, that's the other thing about the $10 billion in profits. I'd be curious as to what that is in terms of like what the margin is there. The profit margin is on expenditures, right? So what's their operating expenditures versus their profit? I mean, we can look at that up, right? BHP. In fiscal year 2025, BHP reported underlying attributable profit of 10.2 billion, operating expenses of approximately 31 billion, and capex of 9.8 billion. Profit was roughly 32% of OPEX, and 100. Okay, well it's got to be combined, right? Like, bum, 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 bum. 10.2 divided by 40. Fuck it, 41. Let's call it 41. So 25%. Let's say 25%. And let's find out what a small business's profit percentages. Okay, a typical small business has a net profit margin of 5 to 10%, which is considered average or healthy. However, a margin of 15 to 20% is often viewed as very good, and exceptional service and digital businesses can exceed 20 to 30%. Yeah, but like that's a profit margin. I think I'm the true bottom line kept after all expenses. No, so we want a gross margin. Typical gross margin. I believe, right? That's what we want. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, a typical small business gross profit margin ranges from 25 to 50%. Right? E-commerce and retail 30 to 60. Manufacturing and construction 20 to 45. BHP operating at around 25%. So, I mean, typically a healthy target is 10 to 20%. If you need, or using EBITDA instead of net profit. Okay, let's call gross margin. Gross margin. Annual. Woo! Okay. This is gross profit. No, this is on revenue. Gross profit margin. 80 for the fiscal year. Holy state. I don't know. This seems weird. Like, I don't know. EBITDA. And BHP Australia. Is this Australia? This is, I don't know if this is Australia. I am not very conversant with motherfucking EBITDA. Okay. Let's look at EBITDA because they've reported it here. Okay. So what is a typical small business EBITDA? 10 to 20%. Direct sales of tools to service companies making more is exceptional. Okay. Typically, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciate. Oh, okay. Total ranges from. Okay. Well, I mean, come on. Yeah. Because you're pulling shit out of the ground, I think the EBITDA is going to be high, right? So, in depreciation and amortization, yeah. Yeah, because you don't have to buy the product before you sell it. You just fucking dig it out of the ground. Okay, so EBITDA, that's dumb. We can't use that. That doesn't make sense as a mining company to compare to a small business. Fuck. But this is like, I guess it would be nice to know, like what, when you think about the, okay. Okay, EBIT. What's the EBIT? Earnings before interest and taxes. Right, that's right. Okay. Okay. As percentage. My fucking god, bro. AI is dumb as fuck. EBIT. Revenue. Now, but like, which PHP is this from? Because then didn't I get something like, it was a profit of 10 billion. So earnings for interest and taxes. So it paid a bunch of tax by the sounds of things. Earnings. Profit. So that must be after tax, right? Net profit, okay. What is it to a small business? Net profit as a percentage. 5 to 20% with 10% widely taken an average. Yeah, man. Woo. If you're doing 10%, fucking sucks bad. Yeah, there's low margin. Righto. So if you're in a specialized, incredibly technically advanced delivery of services such as legal, consulting, medical, software with a low overhead, 20 to 30%, right? This is not unheard of. A professional business, 15 to 30%, okay? Now, net profit. What's this? Let's net, what is it? Net profit as percentage. BHP's net profit margin sits at approximately 18.9 to 20%. Yeah. So the net profit's not too dissimilar to what would be considered a healthy performance for a standard trade, professional service, or manufacturing. So I don't know, like, I think sometimes it's because numbers have a B with a billion, right? Sometimes people think that, I know, I'm like, this whole idea of the fairness. Oh, it's not fair that they could earn billions of dollars, from taking our coal from out of the ground. Well, they're technically providing a service, right? They're doing a job. They're a trade. They're technically tradespeople. They're technically engineers and all sorts of highly qualified people, as well as poorly qualified people, resulting in a net profit not too dissimilar to what some people are reporting as a healthy business net profit for a small business. So, like, I guess because, like, there's a whole bunch of demonizing of business and mining companies in this stuff, and potentially there's room to squeeze these guys in terms of like how much money we can get from them. But like, I know this idea of the fairness, like fairness for large multinational companies is the same as fairness for small businesses. But it's you do want like a fairly expected hierarchy. Now, the argument that we would make as social democrats would be that there is a progressive tax schedule for businesses, right? And so as you move further and further up the net profit absolute value, so I'm not talking about percentage margin, net profit margin, right? As you move up the absolute value, you'd have to absolute value potentially, right? Like much like your take-home pay, as soon as you start creeping up tax brackets, you start paying more cents on the dollar as tax. There's an argument that could be made that that's a viable option. The first $1 billion is 30%, and then the second, the next billion is 35%. The billion after that, the third billion is, 40%. So I could probably entertain an idea like that. Anyway, punters politics got me thinking. At least, man, motherfucking, it's slop. It's like, it's really sort of like anti-business, anti-billionaire, like these guys are crooks, criminals, and cheats. Well, they're not. They're operating within a tax code, and they're trying to have an opinion about politics and all, have a say in terms of what politicians do, but that's in their best interests too. Like, why would we assume they're rational actors and it's in their best interests? But thank the Lord, at least our punter has come with an article and some numbers and something to actually critique and debate. So thank you. Okie dokie. We are done. I am leaving. This is enough.